Hey guys, so I just saw Transformers 1 tonight, and I want to say that going into this movie, I was kind of skeptical because of the trailers. I didn't really like the tone that was in the trailers. Obviously, it's a Transformers movie, so it's a kid's movie, but I just felt like the humor just didn't feel right. And I will say, for the first half of the movie, that kind of humor is in the movie, but honestly, it's not too bad. I thought it was going to be a lot cringier than it was, and honestly, none of the humor really was cringy at all. There were times where it wasn't that funny, but it wasn't too bad. I mean, obviously it's a kid's movie at the end of the day, so I mean that humor isn't too out of place, but at the same time it was a little bit different than what I was expecting when this movie was first announced. But then the second half of the movie, it did get a little more serious. I mean, it was a movie for kids throughout the entire movie, so it's not like it got like super serious in the second half, but the humor did take a backseat in the second half of the movie. And I really did love how they showed this crumbling of the friendship between Optimus Prime and Megatron. Well, really Orion Pax and D16, I think, I can't remember both their names, but they're Optimus Prime and Megatron eventually. But just this friendship, the way it crumbles, it's really natural and it really makes sense, but at the same time it really sets up these two characters as rivals who were once best friends but are now going to become rivals, iconic rivals. I also thought the casting was really good. Chris Hemsworth and Brian Tyree Henry were both fantastic as the two leads. Chris Hemsworth especially, I was kind of skeptical on how he was going to be as Optimus Prime's voice, just because Peter Cullen has such an iconic voice and is so iconic as Optimus Prime. But I thought that Chris Hemsworth did a pretty good job, especially considering like the first half of the movie, well really like the first like 3/4 of the movie, he's kind of an Optimus before he's Optimus. So it's a character that we're not necessarily used to just yet, but by the end of the movie, he does become the Optimus Prime that we know and love. And his voice really reflects that, because as the movie goes on, you can hear his voice becoming more and more of that of the leader. I'm kind of disappointed that Keegan-Michael Key as Bumblebee didn't land as much as I thought it would. Whenever the casting was first announced, I thought that was a great casting. I love Keegan-Michael Key and I thought that he would be great as Bumblebee, but it was just something about the comedy that they gave him. It just wasn't the greatest. It was kind of annoying, honestly. And I know that's supposed to be kind of his character, but you can have an annoying character still be funny and still likable. And it's not like he was completely unlikable. It just wasn't funny. But he honestly didn't have that much screen time or lines, so it wasn't like that big of a detraction from the movie. And I do think there is room where they can build upon that, his character, in future movies and hopefully improve it. And speaking of future movies, there is an after credit scene. I feel like it's been a long time since a movie has had an after credit scene that actually is an after credit scene, not just a joke one. I mean, Marvel for a long time had these popular after credit scene that everybody would stay for it, but now it's just become like a joke. And now the more important one is in the mid credits. But this movie really did have a after credit scene that does set up the next movie. I mean, it's a short one, it's a simple one, it's probably what you would expect, but it's still a pretty cool after credit scene. And lastly, the animation was just gorgeous. Honestly, that's probably one of my favorite parts of the movie, which, I mean, this movie is good. That probably sounds like an insult that there wasn't anything else good about the movie, but the animation is definitely something that I do want to really highlight. Oh yeah, and I also got this Bumblebee poster and this comic. It was at the AMC that I was at. They were handing these out for free, so I got both of these, so it's pretty cool too.